Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel and episode 11 of my Sea Reefer 250 build. Today we're gonna finally put some fish in the tank. But first, some updates. So the NEM has moved again all the way to the bottom of this rock, rubbing the dirt. And still not quite sure what's going on with it, if it's just not happy. It stayed in that spot in the inside this little cave here for like 3 days before it decided to move down there, so not sure what's up there. Recording frag's doing good. Everybody else in the tank's doing good. The removal of however many bristleworms I've removed so far has made a marked difference in the tank. There's so much less just junk all over the rocks and stuff. Clown Goby seems to be doing good. He loves his little cave. And I'm still trapping bristleworms. Bristleworm trap in here. It's been in here overnight. It looks like it's only got one in it. But that's probably because it got knocked over. So we're going to get that out and clean the trap, and we'll see what we do next. Now back here at the 250, I put the filter sock and filter cup back in. They've been off for 4 days for the coral and algae, but now they're back in. So my Kato balls, with having them filter socks out, kind of got sucked up against the overflow into the skimmer chamber and kind of broke up. So instead of having 2 balls, I now have 1 and a bunch of loose floating strands everywhere. They're probably going to eventually end up getting sucked up into the skimmer over there. But that's alright for now. I was posting on the Sea Reefer owners Facebook page, and I had mentioned that I was told my lights and wave pumps were held off the coast because of the coronavirus, because that's what I was told. Some Red Sea employee popped onto my thread and said that's not true, but no mention of where the hell my lights are or where my wave pumps are. Just what I said wasn't true. Which is wonderful for them to engage me like that, but a snarky "that's not true" when I'm missing product from you guys is not a good thing. And it's clearly not out here on the porch. So I don't know what Bluefish is talking about. They keep telling me couple of days. It's been like a week now. I have no lights except for what I've rigged up on the tank. A little disappointed about that. I have to say, you sell me your product, or you make me promises, deliver your product, or keep your promises, or just don't make them. You didn't have to tell me that they were going to be here in a couple of days if they're not going to be here in a couple of days, because that's only going to piss me off further. Or for Red Sea, don't just sit back and tell us nothing. Explain to us, here's where your stuff is, this is why you don't have it. Or just be straight up honest with me and say, I don't know when you're going to get your stuff because we're just kind of winging it here. That would be an improvement over just not telling me anything. So there's no sign of coral and algae yet, but it's only been 4 days and I shouldn't see it for 5 weeks. So not going to be an update on that. I did open this door wall window or curtain here to try and get some sun under the tank. And I mean, it's getting some, but not a lot. I did turn the moon lights or the dawn dusk lights on the apex up a little bit, so they're on like 3 hours a night and then 3 hours in the morning. Plus we get the moonlight during the night and whatever sunlight can filter through this door wall. which isn't a lot, but at least we're getting some. Update on the brine shrimp tank. Brine shrimp are doing okay. I can definitely tell the difference between the week-old ones and the ones that are only like 3 or 4 days old now. And I've been feeding them, and that last video I made about feeding these things, I mean, as soon as my head hit the pillow that night, I came to the realization that I have bottles of phytoplankton all over this house, and these guys will definitely eat that. So I've been feeding that along with the powder. And these 2 bottles, which are, I would think expired, but so far the brine shrimp seem to be doing all right. So that's what they've been getting. Reef zooplankton from Sea Chem, Phytogreen S from Brightwell Aquatics, plus the HBH baby bites that I was feeding. Been feeding them like twice a day, and like I said, they seem to be doing pretty good. So we're gonna try and harvest some so we can feed the clown goby. So I don't know if this is necessarily a brine shrimp net, but it's what we got. We'll run this to the tank upstairs. And we'll see what comes out of the net. Well, I don't know what these guys are doing in here, but they got it all stirred up, so maybe they're brine shrimp in there, maybe they're not. Just gonna keep my eye on Mr. Clown Goby there and see if he starts picking stuff out of the water stream. If he doesn't, I'll just feed him some fish eggs. He'll be all right. I'm looking at the glass real close to see if I can see anything, but so far nada. Oop, there's definitely one in there. What he's gonna do. Oh yeah, and Mr. Urchin there, I've gone ahead and removed the carapace from his back because he was carrying that thing around all week, and I don't think that was okay for him to be doing, so I peeled it off of him. Accordia frag looks good. Honestly, I really don't know what to look for on this guy because he was in a Petco tank, and those are pretty rough tanks, so I don't know if he's bleaching out here or if he's looking healthier. I mean, he certainly seems healthy. He's been doing pretty good, so. Again, bubble tips back here again. Still down here on this rock. Seems to be doing all right, I guess. Wish he'd be somewhere else, but I got new fish for the 250 that still has no lights on it. I don't know how I'm feeling about that because it's now been more than a week. I've been told twice by Bluefish Aquariums I'll have lights in a couple of days. Well, it's been a couple of days, and they told me another couple of days, and then it's been another couple of days, and it's been a couple of days since then. I sent an email to Red Sea trying to ascertain the location or when I can expect my lights, but let's take a look at the fish we got. I gotta hold this stupid light because otherwise we're not gonna see them. So these are what I'm gonna start with. There are 3 engineer gobies, and the reason there are 3 because they had 3. If they had like 10, I'd have taken 2. They'd have taken, if they'd have had 2, I'd have taken 2. But since they had 3, I took all 3. Because they looked like they were buddies, so I took all of them. Because I've been reading the parameters on this tank, and basically everything's perfectly in line except for that ORP. I was holding off trying to get the pods a chance to establish themselves, but I haven't seen a pod in days, so I don't think I have any pods. I had a tiny drop in ORP over the last couple of days. It's going back up, and I can only assume that the drop was because the pods died. And yeah, we'll give those guys a little more time, and then we'll release them and see what they're going to do in there. I'll probably never see them again because they're little and all the spaces to hide in. I was going to get a frogfish, but apparently they get pretty big and would eat just about anything else I put in here. So that guy was only on the list for a very short time, but he was really cool looking. So I've got the apex open, so you can look at, that's what happened to the salt when I started floating the fish. The salt immediately spiked to 35.2. And that was just because I had bags floating in the water. So that's purely from displacement. So I don't know that the salt reading is as accurate as it should be. ORP, like I said, there was a dip over the last couple of days. And it seems to be on its way back up. But again, I don't know if that's just because I just poured that... because I put those bags in there. pH jumps up and down, but it's pretty much within 0.02 of 8. So it's going 798 to 8, just back and forth. So it's nice and stable. I like that. We're going to flip on the lights. There's the dawn dusk. Then flip on the moonlight. It's got the moonlight too. So now when we dump the fish in here, I don't have to use the sketchy work light. I can just put them in here and we might be able to see them under this light. So they should be good to go. Let's go ahead and let these guys out of here on their own. One's out, two's out. One is still enjoying the cup. 3 are out. Normally this tank is really quiet. It's being a little noisy right now because of the excess water in there. And I'm redialing in the chamber in the back there, because that's what controls how loud it is and how quiet. It's got to be precisely dialed in with this gate valve here, and that thing's a pain to adjust, honestly. Put on the light again. This dial here, I mean, you have to turn it just like a teeny bit. Makes a huge change. So I try not to do that too much. The engineer gobies seem to be pretty happy for now. They're just swimming around the bottom here and doing really nothing, just looking around. So we're going to let them explore the tank and maybe visit them later. So as you can see, these guys pretty much hardly even looked at the rocks. They basically spend all their time just swimming along the glass. And that's really a good thing for an aquarium, you know, I mean, because you want to see your fish, right? So when you select fish from the aquarium stores, temperament is a big thing to look for. So, you know, if your fish are like extremely friendly in the aquarium store, chances are they'll be extremely friendly in your home. These guys were super friendly, you know, swimming up against the glass at the aquarium store, and sure enough, here they are at my home doing the exact same thing. Not digging holes, not hiding, just freely swimming around and exploring the tank and enjoying not being in a tiny 10-gallon anymore. But if you go into a store and you've got a fish that is just hiding behind the rocks and you can't even see it, when you bring it home, don't be surprised if it does the same exact thing in your home. If it just hides and you never see it. And it's a really tough thing to spend a ton of money on an aquarium fish and to never see it. Because like the little tank over there, I got that yellow clown goby the other day. And I had a clown goby before him. I had a green one. The green one was terrified of people, so he hid all the time and you would hardly ever see him. Yellow clown goby over there was super friendly in the store, hanging out in front of the glass. There he is, hanging out right in front of the power head for some reason. And you probably can't see it from this distance, but now he's hanging out over the Recordia frag. Super social, doesn't mind being seen. These guys don't mind being seen. And that's something you want to look for when buying fish. A quick little update before we go. They've increased my hours at work, so now I'm working 10 hours a day. Saturdays are back on, so I'm having to work some Saturdays. So I'm not sure how much more content I'm going to be able to put out. I'm still going to put out as much content as possible. It'll still be at least a few videos a week maybe. But obviously the tank progress, the 250 here, it's going to start getting real slow because once my lights get here and my wave pumps, that's pretty much going to be it, because I'm going to have to, you know, really slowly add fish and establish this tank. I can't just, you know, throw a whole bunch of stuff in there and be done. I'm not sure if there's a cycle complete because, you know, despite the fact that I use the Turbo Start and the Coral Analogy, which are both nitrifying bacterias, I have not seen any evidence of any spike of any kind, nitrite, nitrate, ammonia, nothing. So everything, all the reef test parameters seem to be good, hardness, calcium, whichever the other test is. So again, all my tests have been completely green across the board from day one I dropped that bacteria in. Well, I mean, I don't, like, if I drop bacteria in, I don't test it right away because that will be an inaccurate reading. You're not going to get any usable information by testing immediately after you dose a chemical, unless you're looking to make sure that that chemical is in there. But yeah, I mean, you test the next day and green across the board. So that's basically why I went and got fish. I mean, this tank's been up for 3 weeks, which is a little early for fish, but if it's going to cycle, it's going to need fish in it to cycle. So we'll keep an eye on these guys, keep an eye on the parameters of the tank, and maybe eventually we'll actually see some evidence that my cycle is in fact working. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. So, you know, when I hear back from about the lights and stuff like that, sorry it's such a short video today, but you know, my last few videos were kind of long and really choppy toward the end because I'm just getting a handle on how much footage makes 20 minutes, you know, somewhere around 20 minutes worth of watch time. So I'm getting better at that, and I was better to begin with, but I shot a lot of footage and it was starting to get starting to pile up on me, and I started to need to get stuff out. I was starting to get behind, so that's why those videos were so choppy. I'm planning on, you know, making these a lot shorter, a lot more concise, a lot more entertaining. So like, share, subscribe, whatever. And take one last look at my first fish in the 250. They are really cool looking. And I didn't want to go with an expensive clownfish pair just yet. Because I mean, if there's something going wrong, I want it going wrong with, you know, $15 fish instead of $100 fish. Yeah, until next time.